This right here is the HOVERAir X1 drone, and there's actually something really cool about this. And that is that it's, for one, really tiny, weighs 125 grams, aka almost nothing, and you don't need a controller to use this drone and get really creative shots. In this video right here, I'm gonna go over a couple of those shots, the capabilities of this drone, why I think it's a real game changer for content creators, and also demonstrate some of the shots that you can get with this drone by simply just using these two buttons right here. No controller necessary. But you still have the option to use your phone as a controller if you really want to. Now, the magic of the HOVERAir X1 is that you don't need the controllers to create shots like the ones that you're seeing here on the screen. One of those types of shots is, for example, to just have the drone hover in place. I think that's more of a quick and easy fix for a situation that might just come in between or something like that. If you really want that. It is going to kind of follow you around as you are going around the drone, but you might also be able to do that with a tripod. What you can't do with a tripod is, for example, the 360-degree shot all around you, where the drone actually flies a circle around you and then comes back to you, to your hand, and land in the palm of your hand. You can make some adjustments in these intelligent flight modes. For example, how far away should the drone do this move, or should it go up or down while it's doing it? For example, when you're creating a droney. In the droney mode, the drone will start in the palm of your hand, hover in front of you, and then fly away from you, and usually fly up while it's doing that. One of the versions of this move is, for example, to go 9 meters in distance and go up, I think, about 3 meters. And it doesn't stop there, because it actually will also capture the reverse move while it's coming back as a separate video file. And that, of course, makes it possible that you can actually create 2 shots in one. Continuing, you have the option to have the drone actually follow you, which I think is one of the coolest things ever. Because this tiny drone is actually able to fly about 25 kilometers per hour, and that is basically making this possible that it can follow you while skateboarding, inline skating, or even riding a bike. As always, you have to really be careful when you are doing anything like that, especially if you're doing it around people, traffic, or anything like that. To be honest, I just would not fly this drone in cities, for example, or around cars. It's just too dangerous, and I would rather not get in trouble with the law or make drone flying more complicated for more people. So please be mindful of that and just be very responsible where you fly, how you fly, and keep your eyes open whenever you do so. One thing that is kind of cool with this is that, as you can see, there's this cage around the propellers, which kind of make it impossible for you to put your fingers in there. However, as you can see, you still most definitely can put your fingers in there if you really wanted to. But generally speaking, this protects the propellers against bumping into something, and it usually will not break the drone if you're just having a small collision. And it also makes it so that you're not gonna hurt your fingers. But when you're starting the drone and landing the drone, always keep your hand completely flat and open so that it just can land on there. Don't do something like this. Don't try to like grab it or something. That, of course, is not going to be a good option. Now, we are coming to one of the absolute coolest shots that I think makes this drone a almost must-have for content creators, and that is the Dolly track move. This actually is a move where the drone starts right from the palm of your hand in front of you, and then you can actually walk toward the drone and it will fly backwards and keep you in frame as you are walking toward the drone. This is, in my opinion, one of the hardest shots to get as a content creator if you don't have someone else doing the camera work for you. And even then, this person that is going in front of you has to actually walk backwards, which opens up a whole can of worms of issues and stumbles and all of that. This drone can do it super easily, and that is one of the absolute coolest things that this makes possible. Now, to finish off, I want to talk about a couple of other things that are related to this drone. One, I would absolutely recommend you get at least the combo pack with the charger and the second battery, or even go for the combo plus pack. One battery has about 10 minutes of runtime, which gives you about 20 moves of the intelligent flight modes. With two of them, you have 20 minutes of flight time, and if you're going out for a hike, you're most definitely gonna want to have that second battery with you, because one of the worst things to have happen on a nice 3 or 4 or 5 hour hike is to have the best shots right at the top of the mountain, but you already used all of the energy while you're getting up there. So at least get a second or even a third battery for this to never run out when you're doing your adventures. The next thing is that this camera doesn't actually have a port or anything where you can put a micro SD card. So you have the internal storage to work with. Considering the resolutions, the 32 gigabytes in here actually give you plenty of storage, and you can offload this footage from your phone directly so that you can actually delete the footage on the drone and just pull it to the phone storage. The recording qualities of this drone are at 1080p in 60 frames per second in standard video mode. Then you also have 1080p in 30 frames per second in HDR video mode, which I think is actually probably the sweet spot here, unless you're doing action for the 60 frames per second. But you also have the option to go up to 2K, again in 30 frames per second standard mode. So you have plenty of choice there, and as you've seen here in the examples, the quality is good, but it's kind of like a phone that is flying. So I wouldn't consider this the most cinematic drone, but you have to still consider this is basically a pocket-sized drone that you can take on any hiking adventure. Now, with all that said, I hope this was a really helpful video for you to understand and get to know the HOVERair X1. I think it's an incredible creative tool to document your next trip, your family adventure, or your hike up that mountain that you always wanted to visit. This gives you an opportunity to get creative shots that are otherwise just not possible, while keeping the package incredibly small, easy to handle, and without any extra needs for controllers and the like. Now, with all that said, capture your next adventure in more creative ways with the HOVERair X1, and I'll see you in another video.